Welcome to Truth Behind History. This is the channel where we dive deep into the moments that shaped our world, unpacking stories from the past and uncovering the truths you might not have learned in school. Today, we're diving into early socialism and utopian visions. Now, before anyone dozes off at the mention of political ideology, let me assure you, this is about more than dusty manifestos. Early socialism was driven by some big dreamers with bold ideas. We'll see how they challenged the status quo, tried to reimagine society, and laid the groundwork for many social reforms that still echo in our world today. At the heart of this conversation are three key questions. What is socialism? It's an economic and political ideology that pushes for collective or governmental control of resources. Yes, that's a mouthful, but think of it as a call for fairness in who owns what and how decisions get made. What is utopia? A fantastical vision of a perfect society that critiques the world as it is. It can be imaginative, bold, and sometimes downright strange, but always aimed at social improvement. Why study early socialism? Because these early movements and experiments help us appreciate today's modern cooperative societies and give us insight into how ideals evolve over time. So let's begin, shall we? Our journey starts with the Enlightenment, a period brimming with ideals of reason, equality, and freedom from rigid aristocratic privilege. If you think we've got sharp social commentators today, Enlightenment thinkers really got the conversation rolling by challenging traditional hierarchies left and right. This philosophical ferment gave early socialists fuel for their vision of more equitable societies. Then came the big revolutionary movements, particularly the American and French revolutions, which ignited hopes of liberty, equality, and fraternity. People realized social structures weren't set in stone. If entire nations could reinvent themselves, then maybe society itself could be redesigned to ensure dignity and fairness for all. Amid this energy, a handful of pioneering figures arose. Robert Owen, Charles Fourier, and Henri de Saint-Simon each put their own spin on how communities could be organized for the common good. These big thinkers laid foundations that would inspire countless others, proving that a dose of imagination and a fierce belief in progress can shake up the world. Let's start with Robert Owen, the practical dreamer who built a real-life test lab for his ideas in a quaint Scottish community called New Lanark. Factory work in the early 1800s was rough, long hours, child labor, unsafe conditions. But Owen introduced innovative labor reforms, cutting work hours, improving safety, and offering better wages, an absolute novelty for the time. Workers, needless to say, found this a sight more appealing than the usual drudgery. He didn't stop there. Owen believed in shaping minds as much as shaping working conditions. He set up schools to educate workers and their families, something nearly unheard of in industrial settings back then. Knowledge, after all, was power, and Owen wanted his community to thrive intellectually, not just economically. The impact of New Lanark on labor movements is undeniable. It became a shining template for what might be possible if employers recognized the humanity of their workforce. Though not every industrialist leapt to follow suit, Owen's example lit a beacon for future reforms across the globe. Next up is Charles Fourier, a man with an even more ambitious notion, self-sufficient communities he called Phalanstères. Picture around 1,600 individuals living in perfect cooperative harmony. Sounds like the setup for a reality TV show, but Fourier had grander aspirations. He believed that by combining agriculture, industry, and communal living, people could find the sweet spot between work and play. This harmony between labor and leisure was integral to Fourier's vision. Rather than pitting work and relaxation against each other, he set out to blend them in a balanced daily life, part farm, part workshop, part social club. What's more, these Phalanstères were a direct affront to the chaos and inequality of industrial cities. Fourier's ideas left their mark well beyond his own time. Though many Phalanstères struggled to fully materialize or sustain themselves, the concept of community-driven cooperation stuck around, influencing later experiments in communal living around the world. Henri de Saint-Simon took a more scientific, top-down approach. He believed society should be led by industrialists, or what we'd call today productive classes, engineers, scientists, entrepreneurs, rather than an idle aristocracy. In his ideal world, these innovators would guide society through reason and expertise, breaking free from the shackles of old privilege. He also introduced ideas of centralized planning to manage resources more efficiently, much like a conductor orchestrating different sections of an orchestra. This perspective was groundbreaking for the time, placing faith in modern science and industrial advances to solve social problems. It's no wonder Saint-Simon is often hailed as a precursor to modern socialism. His notion that leadership should favor productivity and collective well-being over birthright opened the door for influential thinkers like Karl Marx and others who shaped socialist theory in the decades that followed. Now, dear historians, we must acknowledge that these utopian pursuits weren't all sunshine and rainbows. In fact, many early experiments faced financial instability, a fancy way of saying they ran out of money. Idealism alone didn't always equate to a sustainable economic model, especially when labor markets and national economies were anything but cooperative. There was also societal resistance to contend with. Traditional norms can be stubborn things, and skepticism from the wider population made it tough for these newfangled communities to catch on. People accustomed to working for private gain often cast a wary eye on communal experiments. After all, if you spent centuries doing things one way, turning that concept on its head is no easy feat. Finally, scale limitations kept these experiments from achieving widespread influence. Even when small communities thrived, replicating their success on a bigger stage, say a whole nation, proved elusive. Yet these struggles teach us something important. Idealism is most powerful when it encounters real-world challenges and adapts without losing its core vision. So, with all these ups and downs, did early utopian socialism vanish into the annals of failed experiments? Not at all. Utopian ideals directly inspired Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels in the development of their scientific socialism, later forming the foundation for Marxism. By seeing what worked and what didn't in utopian communities, Marx and Engels aimed to build a more robust, theoretically grounded approach that had a greater chance at global traction. These early visions also fueled labor movements across the world, sparking demands for better working conditions, fair wages, and social safety nets. Some might say the entire ethos of standing up for workers' rights traces back, in part, to the seeds planted by our early utopian pioneers. And let's not forget about modern cooperatives. In many ways, they're the direct heirs to utopian experiments. You'll find them in small-scale enterprises, farming co-ops, and even large corporations structured around worker ownership. The dream of fairness and equality lives on through these contemporary efforts, proving that utopian sparks can keep burning across generations. Now we come to our grand finale, the legacy and lessons of utopian socialism. First, these early experiments provided a visionary foundation. They showed us that society can be reimagined, and that radical change is possible. They also remind us to keep balancing idealism and realism. We can't deny that lofty visions are powerful, but they need practical checks to stand the test of time. Most importantly, we leave with a call to action. Revisiting these ideals can spur fresh thinking about our current social and economic challenges. Whether it's the push for cooperative workplaces or ongoing debates about wealth distribution, the spirit of these early socialists continues to resonate in the modern world. And that brings us to the close of this historical escapade. If you enjoyed journeying with me through the early days of socialism and utopian visions, please hit that subscribe button, like this video, and comment below on which idea you found most fascinating. Don't forget to check out my other videos for more intriguing explorations of the past. After all, if we understand history's wild attempts, and, yes, even its failures, we might just get a little closer to building a better world. Thanks for watching Truth Behind History, and until next time, keep digging for those hidden truths.